Hey guys, welcome back to Daily Dreamer. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out with me and sharing a dream or two. I've been having lots of amazing dreams lately, and I wanted to share this one with you because it was absolutely just incredible and exceptional. So let me go ahead and start. So I wake up and I come to him, and I'm in this building, and it's kind of like a school building, and there's a lot of people around me, and they're all just murmuring in the background. And I happen to see a door, a little window in the door, so I go up to the window and I look through. I happen to see a little professor of mine who's lecturing a class. Well, I love this professor, so naturally, I wanted to see if I could sneak into the lecture to see what he was teaching, okay? Well, as I look through the window, I happen to look up at the class to see how big the class is. The class was humongous. I mean, there were thousands and thousands of people there. And I thought, my gosh, what is he teaching about that all these people are just mesmerized by him because they were all focused on everything he had to say. So I want to sneak into class, so I open up the door. And as I open up the door, the bell rings, and now class is filing out, which was very frustrating because when they filed out, I was kind of swept off in the crowd, and he was too. So he tickled off that way, and I went this way, and we were just kind of separated. So I sought him out because I wanted to say hello to him. It had been a while since I've seen him, and I know that he passed on, and he was looking a little bit older for some reason compared to like what I can remember of him. Anyways, I eventually found him. He was now like in this living room, a very small living room, almost like a waiting room, at like a teacher's lounge, maybe. Okay, that might make more sense. Anyways, he's laying on the couch, and I remember focusing in on his details of his face, and they were actually older than what I had remembered. Anyways, as I went to go speak to him, now mind you, there's someone sitting over here, someone I'm familiar with. I think we spoke briefly, but my focus was to speak with this old professor. And so he kind of drizzled off in the background, even though he remained there. But I focused in on him, and I went to go speak to him because I wanted to ask him what his class was about. And as he went to go answer, he kind of sat up. His nose morphed into something like a very predominant nose, because it struck me like, oh, you're changing. As he sat up to speak to me, he morphed into like what was my godfather, who had passed on a very long time ago. And I was super excited to see him because I had never really spoke to him in this realm before. So I was really excited. And the first thing that came to my mind was I want to share the fact that, hey, Uncle Ben, I wrote 3 novels. As I said that, those words came out. But when they came out, they actually turned into like this blue energy, kind of, and they just kind of dissipated in and around and up and below them, and just all over, which is kind of more like absorbed. And I could instantly tell that Uncle Ben and I mean the people that were there, that it was morphing into, by the way, I swear it must have morphed into like the amount of people that were in that classroom, because all they were doing was just continuously changing. Okay, so you've got this form, okay, changing human beings or people that I know, and they're just continuously morphing. And so as my words come out and they're morphing, okay, I could instantly tell that not only did they know that I had written those books, but they felt it. They cried with it, they loved it, they laughed with it. They instantly knew everything about it, which was very comforting. And that was exciting to me. But looking back as on the I don't know, form that kept, changing into others, it kind of threw me for a loop. Suddenly this baby comes in. This baby now is attached to me for some reason. I think this was my subconscious coming into play, because they asked who the baby was, and I was quick to say, not mine, not mine. And I think that was my subconscious, because I recently just became an empty nester, which is exciting. But at that point, when I said that, I looked over at the being that was over there sitting in the chair that was familiar to me, and I was whisked back to consciousness. So what an amazing dream that was for me. And I was really excited about it because I wanted to go sit and meditate and find out what that meant. So what do you think the dream meant? Let's go find out, shall we? Hey guys, so what do you think the dream meant? All right, so when I first woke up, I was real excited about this, but I couldn't understand the whole people morphing into each other, that kind of freaked me out, because when you see it, it kind of takes you aback a bit because you're not used to seeing that, right? All right, well, so I was excited to sit on it, and I came to this point of realization that realities are just not what they appear to be, at least for me anymore. In this world, we have singular identities. We experience reality coming from a one source, one experience point of view. But see, we cannot possibly know that which we do not experience. In other realms, they can experience all realities at all times. They find communicating with us down here very confusing because they have to communicate and translate energies into forms and words. And that can be very difficult because down here we are so limited with our knowledge. They have to translate all of their information into a form that a single human creature can understand. And that act in itself is extremely foreign to them because they know all things at all times. They find the idea of us not knowing something that is at the very inner core of us a very odd concept. We call them aliens and we fear them. But why? Is it because we experience their energies and their perspective as something completely opposite to ours? Is it because we don't understand the everything and the all, and so therefore we call it alien? Down here, we live in linear time. They live in conceptual time. Their experience of time is based on abstract ideas or concepts. They're sometimes called the dream weavers. They live in a dimension that is the gap between the conception of an idea and the manifestation. They are the energy that exists between the thought and the physical realm, that physical representation of that idea. They live in a dimension between realities. They exist everywhere. They exist nowhere. They exist in one reality alone and all realities simultaneously. They are our paradoxes. They show us opposite of what we are. Their whole goal here is to show us that we can live in that dimension as well. So right now, our pineal glands are reawakening, and they are aligning us to that realm. That dimension is known as the theory behind the manifestation of our reality. They are the theory. We are the practical. And all of them, both them and us, we are all just one big experiment of source, of creator. When we are actually able to go ahead and connect to that realm on a conscious level, then it's going to be possible for you and me to experience all times, all dimensions, and all reality. And that's exciting. That's more than exciting. See, down here, we experience just the past, the present, and the future. But see, those are just mental constructs. For us, it is only possible to experience one singular time frame at a time. That's all we can do. That is why we can really only enjoy the now, the present. But even that's impossible because the now, that moment is always transient and it's always passing quickly. Thus, it's now forever lost in the mental construct of the past. Our reality down here moves in lines, in moments, and they pass one after the other in succession. Okay? That is how we experience time passing, one after the other, moment passing, right? Their reality is completely opposite of ours. They live in the spaces in between the creative events. They are the web. They are a construction of ideas not yet formed. Imagine a spider web, okay? This web, it exists as a dimension that is imaginary in form, but it connects to everything together in a wonderful artistic way. See, in our perspective, they only exist in our imagination, okay? Well, that's because we're stubborn little creatures down here. And our ideas of what is real and what is not real, well, it's solidified by our limited knowledge and our experience. We consider them to be an illusion, and so they are. But their energy is one of potential, not yet of being. Our perspective doesn't really understand this, but soon it will. And if you really want to know how many of them reside in that dimension, do me a favor, go to the nearest wall of yours that's made of plaster. Take a real close look. Get close. Look at all those little bumps and all those little crevices. And every single one of those little bumps and crevices, imagine them to be faces. Yeah, okay? Those are the faces in that dimension. There's a lot of them up there. And each one of them is us existing at the same time with different experiences. But imagine now that the Creator had a notion, a thought of an idea, and then created a plan. And let's say this plan was one of evolution. And let's say that the idea transcended all of the dimensions, okay, below, until it eventually became so low that it manifested itself in a physical reality. Let's say that there was a byproduct of this idea to the physical. Okay, so from the idea to the physical, there was a byproduct in between. Okay, and that was the ideas that the Creator had thought. Right, well, those ideas that the Creator had thought, they became alive and conscious too. These thoughts, all those little faces in that plaster, they're known as the abstract ideas. Those abstract ideas gathered around and they became one singular identity as well. And that is how the consciousness of the web was born. It's a whole new World Wide Web up there. Okay, our pineal glands are learning to function again. And because it is, it's going to allow us to be able to experience and see things from that perspective. Now, like all newcomers to the new World Wide Web, right? We're going to be like babes in Toyland. We're going to be completely unsure of where to go, what to do, what to access. It's going to be like kids in a candy store. And guess what? I can't wait. But for now, down here, when we do access that place, naturally we as humans run to the things that we feel comfortable with. Our loved ones, right? So our loved ones appears with these spirit guides. They all appear because they're comfortable to us, all right? They are the ones that are going to end up guiding us through those moments when we reach that place. Keep in mind now, each one of them is very separate, but yet all together at the same time. Okay, so don't be surprised if they do what they did in my dream and start morphing into one. You know, that was really weird to see, but I don't know. They were just telling me, I think, that I can go ahead and link up with them too, and I can go ahead and travel that path as well. That lovely interdimensional super highway, you know. Once we start traveling, we're going to be able to understand a universal language that is going to allow all of that information that they know to flow from one form aspect to another, okay, through us. Our pineal gland is becoming a transmitter, a receiver, kind of like a modem. You know, that gland is going to start acting like a translator for us. And do you want to know something? You want to know what's really exciting about that? Okay, let me tell you why it's so exciting, all right? Because this has never been able to be accessed by beings that reside in linear time. So that in itself is extremely, oh my gosh. You know, we've never been able to do this before, but now we can. So that should be exciting enough for you to sit there for 5 minutes and start tuning into yourself. I mean, imagine having access to all times, all realities, all dimensions, all patterns, all units of information, and all expressions. We will never be bored again. Forget any linear time at that point. I mean, energies in that realm, those energies, they have no form. They have no expression. So what they do is they clothe themselves in the ideas and that are found in all of our consciousness. You know, we don't even have a stage big enough for their performance. So guess what we do? We create dreams and illusions in order to understand what is going on. We create histories that allow us to feel, you know, more comfortable with their out of time energies. We create a home base for them called dreams so that we can maybe try to pin them down and understand their nature, you know. But as we evolve in this game of evolution, we're going to see that the only thing hindering us is our own limited perspective of reality. And you know, that's the one thing that's stopping us from growing and evolving. But having access to this realm, it's going to help us find the right information to be able to help, navigate ourselves through our own levels of evolving. And each time that we ascend a level, we are going to experience different beings that we consider outside ourselves. So sometimes it might be frightening, and sometimes, it'll be, great, and we feel comfortable. But understand that as you evolve, you're going to meet new things out there. Of course, they're going to mask themselves in our ideas, but that's how they communicate with us. And as our identities and our ideas change and transform, so will the experiences of our realities and other dimensions, but also with ETs and aliens, if you will. We are limited down here with our knowledge, especially with our words. So it's really hard to actually explain their vast concept of how massive this is. But if you tune into them and you can hone into that realm, whether it be in dream state or thought space or, daydreaming, then your third eye is going to activate for you. And you'll be able to access this information that is actually embedded at the very fabric of our being, our most inner core, right? Okay, so try to see reality in 3 different layers. Like, you got 3 different pairs of glasses, right? 3 different levels of perception. You have the conscious, you have the subconscious, then you have the unconscious. They're all layered right there, right on top of each other. And while we're deep in thought on that, just know that these are the energies that reside within the pauses of your thoughts. They are waiting patiently to greet you once again. Till next dream, guys. Thanks so much for joining me for Daily Dreaming.